From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's the Executive Spotlight.
Welcome to the AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest is Troy Blackwell from Spiffy. Welcome, Troy.
Hi, Brian. Thanks for having me.
Let's get started with some content right off the bat. Let's talk about mobile service. How did you get into it, and how long have you been doing it?
Yeah, great question. So in about 2014, our two founders had a standalone car wash business in North Carolina. And what they recognized on a given Saturday, there'd be a line of cars lined up on a Saturday waiting to get their car washed. And they said, there's got to be a better way.
Yeah.
What if we built a mobile van and went to the customer? And so there all of a sudden was a demand for that. So they built one van, went and did mobile wash. That one van has grown to now 400 over these 10 years and 600 technicians later.
Wow, 400 vans and 600 technicians.
Yes.
So this is an idea that it's not an idea that you just tried out. This is an idea that you've really been successful with. I mean, unbelievably successful with in what, 2017? So not even a decade.
Yeah, 2014.
Or 2014.
Yeah,
so a decade.
2014, and again, it grew from a B2C, so go to the customer. What we recognized pretty quickly is that then all of a sudden we started getting some requests about fleet. Mm-hmm. Can you do oil changes? Can you do brakes? Can you do tires? And as entrepreneurs do, they usually will figure it out. They usually say, yes, we can. And then they go back and figure out how are we going to do this. And in this Spiffy case, this is what has happened over these 10 years.
You know, that's so true. Like the most successful businesses, when somebody says, can you, the answer is always yes, yeah. Right? Yes, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I've been in many of those sessions where we always say yes, and then you get in the elevator and go, okay, we just committed. We got to go figure this out.
Nice. Well, I mean, I guess you kind of had to figure out a lot, you know, as far as equipment went. I mean, you say yes to service. What type of equipment are you using, and did you have to invent anything new to like actually make it work?
Yeah, so the great thing about what we've done over this 10-year period, we've learned a lot, and we get feedback from actual technicians that do the job every day. They say, hey, it makes sense that if we have a parts rack, it should be on this side of the van, or if we need a dual alternator to run our equipment, so we're pulling off of a battery versus off the engine. So there's a lot of processes and things that we've put in place through technician feedback.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean, we kind of talked about your scale already, but you know, 400 vans, 600 technicians, but like, what does that footprint look like nationwide?
Yeah, so we went to markets, really Sunbelt. We kind of followed the Sunbelt markets where the weather is in our favor. Mm-hmm. It went to cities and scaled that market. How we originally scaled, we started in business parks. For employee car washes. So we would go to an employee park or a business park and do the washes for employees.
Oh, so like you'd go to like a kind of like where we're sitting today, you know, multiple buildings. Did you like, I guess, put up signage or send emails?
Yeah, you're getting a lot of touch. Usually you work with HR, you know, obviously there's codes and city ordinances and what have you. So one, we have a lot of technology to protect, the city and we have a collection mat when we do a detail of a car. We pull a blue mat out and pull the car over this mat and do the wash, and then we actually reclaim the water. So we'll pump the water right off of that mat back into a gray water waste tank on our vans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now, how does that work with the fluids when you're doing service?
Yeah, same. You know, we have to be very mindful. One things we hear from dealers quite often when we're talking to them to get into mobile, there's a huge fear of spilling oil in a driveway. The last thing a dealer wants to do is have an inconvenience of the customer experience, and now there's oil in the driveway and they have to jackhammer a driveway and replace it. So there's a huge fear of cost for these dealer groups. So we put a lot of things in place to protect that. One of the things that we do, we have patented technology to suck the oil from the dipstick. So in most cars where there's still dipsticks, we will suck the oil from the top with a patented device.
Wow. You know, I mean, that kind of leads me to my next question. We kind of talked about the 400 vans that you scaled to and the 600 technicians. And you're mentioning, you know, now dealer groups. What inspired you guys to go from a we're going to do it model to we're going to help dealers do it model?
Yeah, so I think as anything, as you evolve and you build a good baseline. We have a great product, right? We've got great vans and great software technology to manage those vans. And over this 10-year period, we now taken it to where we can go put this in front of the dealer groups and have them be successful. The manufacturers that come out so far are Ford, Stellantis, Hyundai starting to get into this a little bit. And instead of the OEs just saying, here's the mobile vans, kick it down to the dealerships, then what? Now they have these vans, but they don't know what to do with them. And so we have this 10-year background of saying we have a playbook here. We have best practices that we can show you. We can take you through to scale this successfully. And not to mention, it's a full stack solution with software. So there's a technician app. So the technicians can have an app in the van when they're in front of that customer that feeds back to that dealership.
You know, when a dealer's getting started in this, you mentioned a lot of technology. Like, do you help them to figure out like the path the technician should go? Like, you know, kind of like an Uber type situation?
Yeah, so we offer training too. So that's one of the things that in addition to the package we offer. One, we can upfit the van. Two, we have software to manage those vans. So we can optimize routes and scheduling from an efficiency standpoint. And then we come behind it too and offer on-site training. So again, we have, whether it's on-site training with the van equipment, the tools that they need to perform the jobs, the scheduling, the software side of it. So, and then we're not afraid to invest and commit with the DMSs. So today we're integrated with CDK and Reynolds. So, so that's also nice because, again, what you always hear at a dealership too is they don't want another software company coming in and another way to log into a system and then have to jump over to this system and log in. So the integration is going to be key for a productivity piece.
Wow. I mean, from a productivity standpoint, you know, when you have a technician in the dealership, you know, they're not going anywhere. There's no drive time. Like, what do you see as far as like how much productivity or how much production can a technician get, you know, on the road?
Yeah, so again, it varies. Most our customers and as well as us, the sweet spot's about 4 to 5 experiences a day. And then there's a fleet side of this too, where we can show up to an enterprise and I'm speaking about dealers too, because they offer the same service to these same customers as well. They can go to an enterprise location and do 20 oil changes there versus that enterprise location taking those cars to like a Pep Boys or Goodyear or somewhere like that to get those oil changes done.
Wow. Well, I mean, from an enterprise standpoint, I mean, it probably saves them quite a bit of time because you come to them, you do 20 or 30 or however many cars, as opposed to them having an employee that drives one car, waits, drives it back, drives one car, waits. I mean, it probably saves them a ton of time.
Yeah, and it's exactly it. And think about the other big customer is Amazon. So those Amazon vans have to be running during the day, and those packages have to be delivered. So we're actually doing a lot of oil changes overnight. So again, when that that van gets back to the yard, perform an oil change, and then that way we keep that car back or that van back on the road. And our dealers offer those same, or with mobile, introducing mobile to them, they can offer that same service.
Wow. So I mean, you could have a fleet of vans, your own mobile fleet of vans. It could be going to customers during the day, and then another set of people or technicians could be going to Amazon or another fleet at night. So you're actually could run multiple shifts.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where we sit down and show the dealerships all the different revenue streams that could happen. And keep in mind, Brian, you know, they have commercial sales within these dealerships. They're already selling to some of these commercial accounts. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine as you're having those conversations, those air conditioning guys that are running those vans, the last thing they want to do is take their van in and get a service done and be sitting in the lobby for a couple hours. If we can go to their job site and schedule an oil change there, then it's a win for everybody.
Oh, wow.
And it frees up the bays for the service drive.
Presented from the Ishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
I wanted to talk about dealership profitability. and you're kind of touching on the customer's profitability. I mean, are dealers able to charge a little bit more for the services when they're doing a mobile like that, so the van's not off the road?
Yeah, so we found a convenience fee, right? So it's just like anything else. During the pandemic, there was a lot of companies that grew out of the pandemic as a convenience. They'll come to you. You think of Uber Eats and all the other ones that scaled during this pandemic time, and there's a convenience fee. Our CEO quite often says about his daughter ordering cookies, and a guy shows up and there's a charge for like $20 for 2 cookies, and it's like, you really spent $20 for cookies? And it's this convenience. I go to an app, I can place an order, and it shows up. And so this mobile environment is very similar from an automotive perspective. So again, you think about the recall list that you may get in the mail on your particular car, and the last thing you want to do is have to go to the dealership. Some of those recalls can be performed at your house or at your work. And so there is a convenience piece of that as well.
So when you're talking to a dealer that is considering doing this, like I know that some probably have huge dealerships and some have small dealerships. So some are going to want a huge fleet, some are going to want a small fleet. But like, what does it look like to get started? I mean, are we talking about buying a few vans, and what's the profit potential from that?
Yeah. So again, I think that some people want to just tip their toe in the water, and that's okay. But again, where we come back behind it is saying, here is an ROI calculator. Here, here's a tool that you can put your own numbers, your own labor, all the things that you need to show how profitable this van could potentially be. Some OEs are helping them with some warranty paybacks. So in some of that has been a help for these dealers to get going.
I have lots of dealers that sit across from me here in this room, and I've asked them about service and things, and I think right now it's pretty consistent that across the country most dealers don't have enough bays. Most dealers don't have enough. I mean, like they could service more cars. Like their struggle is getting the cars in. I mean, is that kind of what you're hearing from dealers?
Yeah.
Is that why they're expanding into this?
Yeah, exactly. So we have dealers that we talk to, and they're in some cases great dealers, great operational people that'll still be 4 or 5 weeks out on appointments.
Wow.
And if you're that far out on an appointment and your drive is just packed, free up those jobs, get it into a mobile van and go to that customer. And then that frees up those bays to do bigger jobs and bigger ticket items.
Nice. So what you're saying is, in the bays in the dealership, I mean, you're probably not going to swap out an engine in somebody's driveway, but the underhood service type things are taking place in the dealership, and maybe you try to move some of the things like oil change, brakes, things like that out of the dealership? Yeah,
absolutely. So tires, brakes, oil changes, recalls, in most cases, they're usually software flashes, so a lot of those can be performed in a mobile environment.
Now, your business kind of started with mobile detailing and grew into mobile service. Are dealerships that are getting into mobile service, are they also looking at an opportunity for mobile detailing?
Yeah, it's interesting, Brian. That's the one thing that I think the dealers don't see. They don't see the mobile wash side of it. Historically, let's get into the mechanical side of this business. But if I'm a technician and I'm doing a flash and I'm just sitting in the driver's seat for 45 minutes remotely, I can boost that RO ticket into a mobile detail and a wash, during that same time. And so there's a productivity element to this as well. And we had quite a few dealer principals walk around at NADA when they looked at our vans, and they would walk to the back and they'd say, oh, okay, there's wash mobile detail. Now I can see how you can make some profitability out of these vans.
Interesting. Well, so if a dealer decides that they want to get started in this, I mean, is this something like, if I'm a dealer and you and I are sitting here in my office and I say, okay, Troy, sign me up, I want to do it. I mean, is this something where I'm offering this service a month from now, 6 months from now, a year from now? Like, what does it look like to get started?
Yeah, so I think like anything, there's a cost, right? There's a cost, capital cost to pulling a van off your inventory and then us upfitting it. But I think that where we're seeing success is the leadership has to be behind it and support it, all the way from the principal to the GM to the service director to the service manager. And so there has to be buy-in for this to work. Because the last thing we want to do is just have a van sit there and then it's underutilized or sitting in the parking lot collecting dust and cobwebs. So the idea behind it is for us to come in and sit down with that dealer and say, what is your mobile plan? Have you thought about it? Yes, I thought about it, but I just don't know how. And that's where we can come in and help them be successful.
So okay, so I imagine probably every dealer is aware that that's a thing to do, and so like you're not just gonna upfit my van and give me some software. Like you're gonna sit down and talk about how I'm gonna implement it in my business, and it's like an ongoing thing where you're like my coach and I'm in the game plan.
Yeah, that's as we install dealerships with the software and technology. We'll have weekly calls. In some cases, we may even have daily calls with the team. As a coach to advise, we go on site where we can and help facilitate, especially the initial kickoff. Mm-hmm. And then over that period of time, it could be once a month. It could be then every other month. We'll navigate it to whatever the dealership does today.
Interesting. This isn't a question that I had planned or even a topic I had planned, but it's just like bouncing around in my mind. Like you mentioned going out and doing like an Amazon fleet or an enterprise fleet at night. I mean, if there's 100 vehicles that need an oil change, how many people and vans does it take to do 50 or 100 oil changes? I mean, is it a mass undertaking?
So one guy, one van can do about 25 oil changes in a shift.
Oh.
So again, depending on the size of the vehicles too. So if you get into larger motors and what have you, it might take a little bit longer than that. But for the most cases, one guy, one shift, about 20 to 25 vehicles.
Wow, that's a big number. I was thinking it was going to be like 5 vans and 10 guys, but so 50 vehicles, 2 guys and 2 vans, and it's done.
So in some cases where we have large accounts like an enterprise, we may have multiple vans just staged at an airport, and we're just around the clock.
Oh, really?
Doing oil changes.
So your technicians drive in their own car and then go work the van, and they go home, and another guy shows up. And
exactly, wow. Yeah, and there's some swap out to get rid of the other oil. But yeah, for that example, yes.
Well, I mean, that sounds like a situation like that sounds like a tremendous printing press for money.
Yeah, it's like anything. There's always that negotiation with that customer on, from a volume perspective. But yeah.
Well, great. If some of the dealers in the audience are interested in learning more about Spiffy and how they might get into the mobile service business, how can they learn more?
Yeah, getspiffy.com. Just go to our website. We have a lot of great information for the dealers to get to. We're available. I'll certainly provide all my contact information, but again, that's probably the best source to start.
Great. Was there anything more you'd like to share with our audience today, Troy?
No, I think just we have some other great devices that the customer can look at. We have an Easy Tread tire reader and a couple other small mobile oil that can be put on a Ford Escape, for example. So these are some things that we built over these few years.
Tell me more about the mobile tire reader.
Yeah, so it's called Easy Tread, and again, we have some great software engineering team, at Spiffy, and we always are looking what's out there, what's in the market, what works. There's a cost side of this as well, so there's some great technologies out there, but there's a certain price for some of that technology, and we looked at everything and we just couldn't find what we wanted, so we developed our own. And so we have an Easy Tread reader. It looks like an iPad on a floor jack. So it's up on top. We wheel it right underneath the tire of the car, take an image. Again, it'll spit out what the tread reads is, whether it's 530 seconds, 730 seconds, whatever that tire from left to right. And then what that does is it gets housed into a cloud. But what's great about it, it's a $4,000 piece of equipment, which the ROI on that is pretty quick when you're on the service drive using this and you can replace tires. We have a case study where we have a dealership that's doubled their sales in a very short time using this device.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, $4,000, that's a shocking price point for that technology. I mean, most of them are 6 figures. So that's pretty impressive. And so you take it to the vehicle, so you can use it on every car, even if you have multiple lanes, every car, every time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we use it on the service drives. So a service advisor comes out, does a walk around, goes around the car. It can be done in less than a minute. To get those readings, we can then print it and put it on the RO, so they have an image. Some of our dealers have a big screen up on the service drive and they can actually see what their tires look like. Instead of the service advisor telling the customer they need tires, the technology saying red, that in my mind, oh no, I got a red tire, that I need tires, right?
Yeah.
So That's what some of that technology has done. Then also, we have it on our mobile vans. It's compact, so you can fold it up, put it in a case, and put it on your mobile vans. Now you can do this in a mobile environment. And so we use that today. And then we also have some customers that are in production environments, right? So they're putting cars through recon, and they can use that tool. What if the car's up on a rack? We have a handheld one where they can just scan it while the car's on the rack.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's got to be super valuable for fleets too, because fleets might have different drivers, different days. I mean, and that's probably a huge issue for fleets, because it's not like your or my car where we're looking at the tires every day. You know, the fleet driver is probably, he's got a million other things to do. It probably really protects a business from having a liability through a tire blowing out.
Yeah, it's just the accuracy of some of the old school tools, the manual tire readers that you use. It's only as good as a person on the other end. So again, what we have found in a production environment, we may be putting on tires on cars that don't need it, or in some cases need tires and we don't put them on. So this will give a nice paper trail that we scan the car on this day in a production date, and the tires read this. And so from a customer perspective, if I'm buying a car and 2 weeks after I buy it, I have to put tires on it, we've done an accurate read on those tires.
Wow. And I mean, and you mentioned the recon environment. I mean, that's in a recon, like a lot of dealer groups now have these recon facilities, and you really need a consistent process that works on every vehicle every time, that's trackable. And with that, with a $4,000 investment, I mean, why not? This makes it easy, instead of somebody saying this one needs it and this one doesn't, and then you have no repeatable process. This does it every time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when things get tough for dealer world, investing in these big, large capital expenditures, it's hard. I mean, whether you're putting up a new building and then your company comes in and says that we're going to put in a tire reader in your service drive, and $150,000 later, it's a big investment. So we have some technology that can help those dealers give a great customer experience and boost some sales.
Nice. Well, Troy, thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. This is great.
And thank you for taking the time to join us for this AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm your host, Brian Ankney. Today our guest has been Troy Blackwell from Spiffy. We hope you've enjoyed this episode and hope to see you again on a future one. This one's Over the Curb and Burning Gas.